In the underbelly of New York City, where the skyline pierced the heavens like jagged knives, Don Vittorio Rossi ruled with an iron fist wrapped in velvet gloves. At 60 years old, his face was a map of scars and wrinkles, each line telling a story of betrayals, bloodbaths, and unbreakable loyalty. His hair, once jet black, was now streaked with silver, but his eyes, those piercing blue orbs, still burned with the fire of a man who had clawed his way from the slums of Sicily to the throne of one of the most powerful mafia families in America. Vittorio's empire spanned gambling dens, protection rackets, and shadowy dealings in international arms trade. He had no sons, no legitimate heirs to carry on the Rossi name. His first wife, Maria, had died young in a car accident that many whispered was no accident at all, courtesy of rival families. His mistresses had borne him bastards, but none he deemed worthy. Now, as age crept upon him like a thief in the night, the urgency gnawed at his soul. "I won't stop until my heir is born," he muttered to himself in the dim light of his penthouse study, swirling a glass of aged scotch. His solution was Isabella Marini, a 25-year-old beauty from a lesser family, indebted to the Rossis. Her father, a gambler who had lost everything at Vittorio's casinos, had offered her as payment. It was an arranged marriage, sealed in blood and desperation. Isabella was no stranger to the world of organized crime. Her uncle had been gunned down in a turf war. But she had dreams of her own, studying art in Paris, escaping the cycle of violence. Those dreams shattered the day her father signed the contract. The wedding was a lavish affair, held in a fortified mansion on Long Island. Guests included politicians, celebrities, and underworld kingpins, all toasting to the union under the watchful eyes of armed guards. Isabella stood at the altar in a white gown that felt like a shroud, her dark hair cascading in waves, her green eyes wide with barely concealed terror. Vittorio, in his tailored tuxedo, leaned in as they exchanged vows. "You will give me a son," he whispered, his breath hot against her ear, "or I'll make sure you regret every breath you take." That night, in the honeymoon suite overlooking the ocean, Vittorio made his intentions clear. He was gentle at first, his hands rough but experienced. But when Isabella hesitated, tears streaming down her face, his demeanor shifted. "This isn't a fairy tale, cara mia," he growled, pinning her wrists above her head. "You're mine now, and I won't stop until my heir is born." His words were a threat, laced with the promise of violence if she resisted. She closed her eyes and endured, knowing that defiance could mean death, not just for her, but for her family.
Complications arose in the second trimester. Isabella experienced spotting. Bed rest was ordered. Vittorio paced like a caged lion. "If anything happens to my son," he warned the doctors, his implication clear. Isabella, confined to her room, plotted escape. She contacted an old friend via a smuggled burner phone, begging for help. "He's a monster," she whispered, but the friend was too scared. The Rossi name carried weight. One night, as Vittorio slept beside her, Isabella dreamed of freedom. She imagined fleeing to Europe, raising the child away from the mafia's grasp. But reality intruded. Vittorio's men were everywhere, and deep down, a twisted bond formed. In quiet moments, he'd share stories of his youth, poverty in Sicily, his rise through the ranks. "I built this for my family," he'd say. "Now you'll carry it on." Spring brought blooming flowers and brewing storms. Vittorio's rivals, sensing weakness in his age, struck. A car bomb targeted his convoy, killing 2 bodyguards. Vittorio emerged unscathed, but enraged. "The O'Connors," he snarled. Retaliation was swift, a hit on their warehouses, flames lighting the night sky. Isabella, now visibly pregnant, was whisked to a safe house in upstate New York. Isolation deepened her despair. Vittorio visited sporadically, his visits a mix of affection and obsession. "The baby kicks strong," he'd say, feeling the movements. But his threats resurfaced when stress peaked. "If you lose him, I'll find another bride, younger, more obedient." Isabella nodded, hiding her rage. In the safe house, she met Angelo, a young guard assigned to her protection. 28, with kind eyes and a disarming smile, he was Vittorio's nephew, distant blood, loyal but disillusioned. Conversations started innocently, books, music. Soon they shared secrets. "Uncle Vittorio is a tyrant," Angelo admitted one evening over tea, "but he's family." Attraction sparked, forbidden and dangerous. One rainy night, as thunder roared, Angelo kissed her. "Run with me," he whispered. Isabella pulled away, torn. The child was Vittorio's, but her heart yearned for escape. Guilt consumed her. What if the baby wasn't Vittorio's? No, timelines matched, but doubt planted seeds. Summer heat waves mirrored the escalating turf war. Vittorio orchestrated a summit with the O'Connors, but it was a trap. Gunfire erupted in a Brooklyn warehouse. Bodies fell. Vittorio took a bullet to the shoulder, but survived, his legend growing. "Indestructible," his men whispered. Back at the estate, Isabella's due date approached. Labor came early, induced by stress. In the private clinic, surrounded by armed guards, she gave birth to a healthy boy, Antonio Rossi. Vittorio held him first, tears in his eyes. "My heir," he declared. Celebrations ensued, feasts, fireworks, toasts to the future. But joy was short-lived. Whispers reached Vittorio, rumors of Isabella's closeness with Angelo. Jealousy festered. He confronted her in the nursery, Antonio cradled in her arms. "Is he mine?" he demanded. Isabella denied it, but Vittorio's paranoia won. He ordered a paternity test, results confirming his fatherhood. Relief came, but trust shattered. Angelo disappeared that night. His body was found in the Hudson, riddled with bullets. "Traitor," Vittorio said coldly. Isabella mourned in silence, vowing revenge. "You monster," she spat one evening. Vittorio laughed. "I won't stop until my heir is secure, and now he is." Years passed. Antonio grew into a strong boy, groomed for the throne. Vittorio, now in his mid-60s, doted on him, teaching him the ways of the family. Isabella remained his wife in name, but their bed grew cold. She focused on her son, shielding him from the darkness. But Vittorio's health declined. A heart attack felled him, leaving him weakened. "Protect the boy," he instructed Luca. Isabella saw her chance. With allies in the staff, she planned to flee with Antonio. The night of escape, chaos erupted. Rivals attacked the estate, guns blazing, screams echoing. Vittorio, bedridden, handed Isabella a pistol. "Fight for our son." In the melee, she shot an intruder, saving Vittorio's life. Gratitude flickered in his eyes. As dawn broke, the attackers repelled. Vittorio pulled her close. "You could have let me die," Isabella whispered, "for Antonio." A truce formed. Vittorio softened, allowing her freedoms. "I was wrong to threaten you," he admitted on his deathbed years later. "But my heir lives on." Isabella, free at last, raised Antonio away from the Mafia, breaking the cycle. The threat that bound them became the legacy that set her free.
His first big score was hijacking a shipment of diamonds from a rival cartel, netting millions. He invested wisely in legitimate businesses like construction and restaurants to launder money, and in illicit ones like drug trafficking and loan sharking. But power came at a cost. His brother was killed in a drive-by. His mother died of a broken heart. Maria, his wife, was the light in his darkness, until that fateful night in 1995 when her car veered off a bridge. Vittorio knew it was the work of the Colombians, and he avenged her with a massacre that still sent shivers down spines. Now at 60, Vittorio faced his greatest enemy, time. His capos were loyal but ambitious. Without an heir, they might turn. "I need a son," he told Luca during a late-night meeting in his study, the room filled with the scent of leather and cigar smoke. Luca, ever the pragmatist, suggested marriage. "The Morettis owe us. Their daughter is beautiful, young." Isabella Moretti was indeed beautiful. With olive skin, full lips, and curves that turned heads, she had modeled briefly before her father's debts forced her into hiding. She studied art history at NYU, dreaming of curating galleries in Europe. But family duty called. "Marry him or we're all dead," her father pleaded, his eyes bloodshot from whiskey. The wedding day arrived like a storm cloud. Isabella's gown was custom-made by a Milan designer, pearls adorning her neck. As she walked down the aisle, flanked by bridesmaids who were actually Vittorio's nieces, she felt the weight of 100 eyes. Vittorio waited, his suit impeccable, a diamond pin glinting on his lapel. The priest, bought and paid for, rushed through the ceremony. At the reception, toasts flowed like wine. "To the Don and his bride," someone shouted. Vittorio pulled Isabella onto the dance floor, his hand firm on her waist. "Smile, cara. This is your new life." She forced a smile, but inside she screamed. That night, in the suite, Vittorio undressed slowly, his body marked by tattoos of saints and skulls. "Don't be afraid," he said, but his tone brooked no argument. When she cried, he wiped her tears. "It's for the family." But as passion overtook him, the threat emerged. "I won't stop until my heir is born. Understand?" She nodded, her body yielding while her mind plotted survival. Life in the Hamptons estate was a paradox. The house boasted 10 bedrooms, a home theater, and a pool overlooking the Atlantic. Isabella had a wardrobe filled with designer clothes, jewelry that could fund a small country. But freedom was illusory. Vittorio's rules were ironclad. No unescorted outings, no contact with old friends, no career. Mornings began with breakfast prepared by chefs, fresh fruit, espresso, pastries. Vittorio read the paper, discussing business in coded language. "The shipment from Miami is delayed," he'd say, meaning drugs. Isabella listened, learning the ropes against her will. Nights were the ordeal. Vittorio's libido, fueled by Viagra and determination, was insatiable. "Again," he'd command, if the first time wasn't enough. Isabella endured, her body a vessel for his legacy. When her period came, his disappointment was palpable. "Try harder," he'd say, as if it were her fault. The doctor's visits were humiliating. "Ovulation kits," one prescribed. Vittorio monitored her cycle like a stock portfolio. "Tonight's the night," he'd announce. One evening, after a failed attempt, he smashed a vase. "Are you barren or defying me?" He grabbed her arm, bruises forming. "I won't stop. I'll replace you if I must." Isabella's rebellion was subtle. She hid birth control pills at first, but fear of discovery made her flush them. Instead, she painted. Rosa smuggled supplies, oils, brushes. Her canvases depicted dark figures, trapped souls. "Beautiful," Rosa said, risking her job. Rosa's stories humanized Vittorio. He loved Maria deeply. Her death broke him. Isabella wondered if she could reach that man. One dinner she tried. "Tell me about Sicily." He paused, then spoke of olive groves, family feasts. For a moment, connection sparked, but sex that night was mechanical, the threat unspoken but present. The pregnancy test was positive on a crisp autumn morning. Isabella stared at the stick, emotions swirling, joy, fear, resentment. She told Vittorio in the garden, roses blooming around them. "I'm pregnant." He dropped to his knees, kissing her belly. "Grazie a Dio." Tears wet his cheeks, a rare sight. Protectiveness ensued. Bodyguards doubled, diet strict, no alcohol, no caffeine. Vittorio attended every appointment, holding her hand during ultrasounds. Hear that heartbeat? Strong like his father. The gender reveal confirmed a boy. Vittorio hosted a party announcing Antonio Rossi, future Don. But complications loomed. Spotting at 16 weeks sent them to the ER. Bed rest, the doctor ordered. Vittorio hired nurses, turned the bedroom into a sanctuary. "Nothing happens to my son," he warned. Isabella, immobile, read books on motherhood, dreaming of a normal life. The smuggled phone came from Rosa. "Use it wisely." Isabella called her friend Sophia. "Help me escape." Sophia hesitated. "Vittorio's reach is long, but I'll try." Plans formed, fake IDs, a safe house in Canada. But a guard overheard, reporting to Vittorio. He confronted her gently. "Don't
Be foolish. You're carrying my heir." The phone was confiscated, but no punishment followed. "I need you healthy." As her belly swelled, Vittorio shared more. "I was like you once, dreaming of escape, but family is everything." Isabella touched his hand. "What if it's a girl?" He smiled darkly. "It won't be, but if so, we'll try again. I won't stop." The safe house was a cabin in the Adirondacks, surrounded by pines. Isolation bred introspection. Angelo, the guard, was Vittorio's sister's son, assigned for loyalty. He brought her meals, played chess to pass time. "You're not like the others," he said. "Smart, kind." Conversations deepened. Angelo confessed disillusionment. "The life, blood, death, I want out." Isabella shared her art dreams. One night, as snow fell, he kissed her. Electricity sparked. "We could run." She pulled back. "The baby!" But the seed was planted. Vittorio visited weekly, bringing gifts, toys, clothes. "Soon, my son." His wound from the attack healed slowly, making him irritable. "The O'Connors will pay." Retaliation was bloody. A bar bombing, 5 dead. Isabella's attraction to Angelo grew. Stolen moments, a touch, a whisper. But guilt gnawed. The baby kicked, reminding her of reality. Birth was agony. Contractions started at midnight. By dawn, Antonio wailed. Vittorio cut the cord, pride beaming. Perfect. Rumors of Angelo and Isabella reached him via a jealous maid. Paternity test confirmed, but trust eroded. Angelo was summoned, interrogated. "Touch my wife?" Vittorio asked. Angelo denied. Lies detected. His execution was swift. Body dumped. Isabella confronted Vittorio. "You killed him." He shrugged. "Traitors die. Now focus on our son." Antonio's childhood was privileged. Private tutors, vacations in Italy. Vittorio taught him chess, strategy. The world is a battlefield. Isabella influenced too. Art classes, books on peace. Vittorio's health failed. Cancer diagnosed at 65. On his deathbed, he apologized. "I threatened you, but you gave me everything." After his death, Isabella dismantled the empire, using wealth for charity. Antonio became an artist, free from shadows.